Hey everyone, I'm Coach Toni. Welcome to Coach Toni's Table, where the madness always meets the method. This is the writing on the board. Substitutes? Coverages? That's all I'm going to say. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Writing on the Board podcast. Thank you for joining me. I'm so happy you're here. Few housekeeping things. There was a submission made by someone named or who called herself Emily. And I just want to say to Emily, I did see your submission. Thank you so much. I fully intend to do a episode about that. However, I do want to make sure that I get my panel together. That episode, I will have multiple guests on the podcast or on the show because I think the submission was so great, and I really want to get people who are qualified to speak on this in the room with me. I don't think I can do it justice by myself. So Emily has made the submission a while ago, and I just want to let her know, if she is listening, that I'm ready for you. I need to coordinate the dates of all the rest of my guests so that we can make this poppin'. Okay. Now, those of you who are new to my podcast, welcome. Understand that I just want to amplify the voice of educators. Right now, we're in a great teacher depression. There's a shortage of educators around this nation, and we are trying to figure out what is going on. And one thing that I've noticed is that it's hard because of the fact that education is not a federal thing, really. It's a state run thing. It's a state controlled thing. So as teachers, we're experiencing so much of the same things and a lot of different things, but the consensus is we're frustrated. And so this episode, or this podcast I should say, is starting to scratch the surface of like why we're frustrated and catalog it. You know, most teachers feel like the powers that be are not listening to our frustrations. The major one being about pay, which will come up in a very near episode. But I now, thanks to social media, have seen so many teachers that have expressed things that I felt, expressed things that I didn't even think about that they're feeling, and expressed a whole lot that's contributing to this discomfort. So if I can provide a platform where we can weekly discuss, and to be honest, at this point, I don't even know if it's weekly. It might be twice a week at some point. I don't think right yet. Every season has 12 episodes. So let's see what happens in season 2. But I have so much, or so many, I should say, submissions. I have so many people that have said something. I have so much content that it's like, I feel like I'm not even keeping up with how many things I have to talk about. I'm very busy. I am now a consultant and I have a baby. So once a week is good for me, but I'm thinking that when I kind of make my schedule more of what it needs to be, I'll find a way to amp up my recording time so that I can release twice a week, because the amount of teachers who have expressed their frustration about things is overwhelming. And I want to put it out there. I want people to listen and be like, this is what's going on. So let's get right into it. This submission comes actually from a forum that I was a part of, or like a chat with a bunch of teachers. And so it wasn't a submission to my website per se, but I'm not going to disclose where I was or who said anything. I'm just going to read it, and I'm also going to read some of the subsequent comments, and I'll give my commentary throughout the reading of all of those comments, and then we'll wrap it up and send you on your way. So the original conversation starter was this: it's getting really bad out here when teachers don't even want the incentive pay to cover classes anymore. My district gives you $30 for every class you have to cover, but no one even volunteers anymore. It's easy money, right? Everyone is out, the money is untaxed, little to no prep, but no, it's not. Taking away my planning every single day for a few extra dollars just isn't worth it anymore. I don't have time to deal with another teacher's kids, lose any time to make copies and prep for the day, or to lose the only moment's peace I get all day. Sounds ungrateful, but everyone is tired. I was really hoping for a new semester, pep in my step, but I am just as tired as I was before we left for holiday break. This year is something else. Yes, it is. First of all, where are you where your money's untaxed? Because any little incentive that I've ever gotten has definitely been taxed superbly. So that's one. Like, shout out to that. But I don't know if people realize how inconvenient it is to ask a teacher to lose their prep for multiple reasons, right? It's just inconvenient. And as teachers who need to be on and quote unquote performing all day for students who, due to the last few years of uncertainty, have had to self-regulate at home, have not had the discipline of being in a scholarly setting, in what our nation calls a scholarly setting. We're seeing behaviors change, we're seeing attitudes on the rise, we're seeing a lot of emotional disturbances. There's so much going on with our students that for me it was even hard to prep, because once my kids left the classroom, I would need to release everything they brought into the classroom, right? One, I need to breathe. So I'm taking off my mask because, oh my goodness, I'm eating those little fibers. Two, I may have had a student that came in, and not may have, this happened. I had a student that came in and went straight to my Zen zone. I had a Zen zone in my classroom, in the back of the classroom, where it was like a comfortable chair, a mirror, little things that they can play around with. Whenever they weren't feeling up to it, or if they're done their work or whatever, they can go hang out there, make a TikTok or whatever. I had a student come straight, beeline there, and went to sleep. And then about 5 minutes later, I got a Slack that someone in his family passed away. And I mean, so much goes on in one period, right? And then no matter what's going on in your life, right? Those of you who listen to my podcast week in and week out know that I dedicate every podcast to my brother, who is going through his own medical trials and tribulations. And I have a daughter with severe allergies, which sometimes she catches something that I have no idea where she got it from. So things that I'm going through have to get pushed to the back. Things that my students are going through have to get acknowledged in some sort of way that they still feel comfortable engaging, right? Because God forbid I get a random observation. I don't need people asking me why is the student not doing this? Why is the student not doing that? Why is the student not doing this? So when my students leave my classroom, I just need the rest of my prep to breathe, to reset, to make sure my emotions are in check. If they were somewhat difficult that period, right? Because even some of my best classes, sometimes they come in and it's just not their day. I need to just decompress, and I usually run to the lounge and make the strongest ginger tea, and I sit there and I just prepare. That's not even prepping. I should be grading at a mass speed, and I'm not even doing that. I'm just breathing with my mask off with the door closed, right? And that's if they're not using my room for something else the next period, right? Because then I have to keep my mask on and probably try to slinker somewhere else or go hide in my car for a few minutes. So aside from that, right, teachers who are more productive than I am would like to get some grading done, some prep done, exactly what's needed to be done. And none of that is happening right now because of all these subs or all these covers, right? So let me read some of these other comments. I'd be okay with it if districts provided more lesson resources. Having to create everything from scratch consumes almost all my planning time. That I completely agree with. I feel like at this point in time, the way our nation's education system is set up, there should be teachers should not be really creating lesson plans. Teachers should be scaffolding, differentiating, and editing problems to serve their student body. But I don't think any teacher should be creating lesson plans. As a school, you should have a goal for your students. And the only thing teachers should be doing is figuring out how to cultivate their relationships with their students, and based on those relationships, figure out how to make the lesson come alive for their students. That should be all the time, because that takes a lot of time. That's a very arduous task, right? It's one thing to understand the concept or to formulate a lesson from beginning to end, right? It's another thing to now make it come to life, make it touch the cultures and personalities of everyone in your classroom. All of that now is a whole other time and a half, right? So shout out to you for saying that, because that's so true. At this point, you should be providing me the lesson plans, the examinations you want me to give, and then I will tweak them as I see fit based on my student body. Next person says, oof, I'm a push-in special education teacher, and because my schedule is quote unquote flexible, I'm just told to go cover classes. Where's my $30? Yeah, where's her $30? Like, I don't care who it is. It could be the cafeteria person, the janitor, the special ed teacher. I don't care. Like, whoever subs, period, should be paid. Next. So this is like a double comment. I put them together. We don't even get paid to cover classes, so that must be nice. That was the first person. The second person said, just imagine how those of us who are not compensated for holding other classes feel. Disrespected, I'm sure. That's disrespectful. If you're listening to this and you have any like control over coverages, you need to be paying teachers for that. That's extra work that they're doing, and you're taking away from them, which means that that prep that they should have had to complete certain work, they now will spend extra time outside of contract. But we always are outside of contract doing things anyway, right? That's why it's easy for them to disrespect us in this way, because teachers are always already doing things outside of contract. It's like impossible. Not even like, it is impossible to do our job 100% well within contract hours. It's impossible. So the fact that for years, teachers have always had to take a little bit of work home, have always had to stay a little bit late, and always have to pour in their own resources, it makes schools feel at ease to just be like, hey, do this, when it's like, no, you're disrespecting my time. So to those people who do not get paid for coverages, my heart goes out to you. It's time to look for another school. At this point, I'm really sad about the teachers that are leaving. And those of you who know me know I've already left the classroom. But I want to go back so badly. I miss being in front of students so much. Every single day I wish I was getting up to go to students. I just don't want to get up and go to the madness. And so at this point, the kids need us so much that they don't need us right now. Does that make sense? I want for us to make such a big a statement that no time is wasted changing what needs to be changed for us. Okay, so if you're at a point where you're financially able to do something so drastic as to leave or to change schools, please do so now. At this point, we need to make a statement, and that statement needs to be so bold and so severe that the majority of people who have positions of power can be like, no, we need to do this now. This needs to get changed now. This is something that has happened now. Let's go now. And then the students will not suffer as much harm as they would if we trickle out and they stretch the rest of the teachers thin and it's just not serving anybody. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. So if something's not serving you the way it needs to be, leave. Especially now, since every school is looking for something. And because every school is looking for something, we can also go to a next school and say, like, I heard y'all don't do this. The only way I'm coming is if you do this. Nope. Okay, go into the next school on my list. Of course, do your research. You know, I'm not saying to put your family in jeopardy or to do it if you're financially really, really strapped. But if you have that power to be able to make your actions affect things, by all means, let's get it popping. Fourth comment. My district raised the pay to $65 and I still won't do it. We are on a rotation of being required / voluntold to cover, however. Is voluntold? First of all, voluntold is a new word that I saw in this thread all over the place. And I guess maybe because I've left the classroom that I wasn't hip to that word, but like voluntold. So they're telling you must volunteer. Oh man, this is I mean, literally there's very few other professions that ask you to give of your time without any other compensation. Isn't it crazy? Anyway, now I do want to talk about this comment. This comment, I think, is a comment I will end my commentary on and, let you be on your way. This person says 85 in our district. So I'm going to stop. I'm assuming he means like he gets paid 85 for coverage. Then he says, and if you are covering one class and giving the kids work that was left for them, I don't see why prep can't be done as well. I suppose it depends on what grade level we're discussing. I have a little bit of an issue with this comment. And it's not even an issue with the comment itself. It's just an issue with the implications of the comment. So the thing about what's happening now, the role of a substitute should be a once in an emergency thing, right? Unless we have a maternity leave where you're going to prepare a more long-term substitute and everyone knows 9 months in advance what's going to happen. So you have a while to prepare the students and the materials. Otherwise, substitutes are supposed to be like whoa, so-and-so has a fever. We don't have coverage. Please come in, whatever. A random week where a teacher decides I need to do something, I'm going to a wedding, whatever the case may be, like it's not supposed to be this consistent. So back in the day, if a substitute came in the classroom, right, put on a movie, didn't steal all my snacks, and you know what? It's not even the substitute. Let me rephrase that because my snacks would disappear, but I know it's my kids. So regulated how much snacks my kids took, etc. I'd be happy because everyone needs a break. And at this point, they need a brain break too. Like I call it a break for everybody, right? I don't make my sub plans extremely ridiculous or arduous. One, because I teach math, and honestly, the chance that the sub actually understands what's on my paper to be able to even answer a question about it is slim to none. And I'm not even trying to throw a sub. It's just a fact. The amount of times people say, like, I don't even know what that is. I couldn't help you if I tried. I just don't even, if it's not so self-explanatory to my students, I don't even bother, right? But the implication here is that students shouldn't need us. Because it says, if you are covering one class and giving the kids work that was left for them, prep should be able to be done as well. Which means that students don't need teachers, which is far from the truth. Because like I said earlier in this episode, we should be solely looking to cater our lesson plans and our examinations and our content to the kids that we've grown fond of and we've got to know. If we can just give them a packet day in and day out, because that's what it's turning into now, right? Whole departments are out in some schools, right? There are teachers that have been out for COVID, then they're out because their husband has COVID, and they're out because their kids have COVID or their kids was exposed, right? There are schools where the kids are having subs day in and day out. Now you're affecting their education because no one is there to curate what they need. And if it is that your students are so good enough that they can receive a packet and just do the work, what does that mean for like why we didn't go virtual in January, right? Because I think every teacher was sitting on the edge of their chair in December like, the whole world is breaking out in Omicron. Are we going to shut down or not, right? And so many schools were just like, no, we need the kids in person. So I want to caution, right? I would love to caution against thinking. Now, mind you, I'm not above going in and giving them a packet and doing my prep at the same time. I'm not above it at all. But I understand the implications of why that would not be a suggestion on a forum, because that's not correct. Our students need us to curate what we know with their lives in mind. And self-regulation is at an all-time low due to the last few years of just winging it. So we cannot expect these students to be ready for this. And like I said, if we can, and if you have a student body that can, then that means that you shouldn't be asking for subs. You should be posting work on Google Classroom and having the kids stay in one room and just be like, all right, go to your next Google Classroom, 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 right? That will slow the spread, that will slow the contact, and then they can like go for recess or wherever and come back in groups of 5 so they can social distance, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's really what would make more sense if that statement that was made by this person were true. And like I said, if it's true, then you know what to do. And then you wouldn't need your district to offer $85, right? The fact that it's gotten to 85, I'm in New York City and I haven't gotten 85. That means wherever you are, I'm assuming you're probably in a major city, but 85 is still high for a teacher to sub for a period. So that means that they're asking subs to go all over the place. And if the students are that self-sufficient where you can just give them a packet and they can absorb what they need and get the standards and everything, then you need to just do it from a distance so that no one has to sub. I think people don't understand what our purpose is, like why teachers exist. Because it's like, what if the students have a question? And that's why it's so crazy for me to even take a day off. My husband used to be so frustrated with me because I would drag my hot butt to school and work sick. Not during COVID, before COVID. I would mix my greens with my juice. I would make sure I sanitize. I would make sure I keep my distance from my students. But the thing about it was, I had a scope and sequence to follow, and I was 100% sure that the sub was not about to answer the questions that were asked. They would not be able to delve into the theory. They would not be able to apply it to my students' lives, and they would not collect data like I would. So basically, I would still need to come back in and do double the work if I missed a day, which is crazy. So I just never missed a day. And if I did, I did. Like, I got to a point where I started to like take the days I needed, but it was such a thing where I just knew I had to think about what the implications were. And most of the times I didn't take that day. Didn't take it. Once again, I only scratched the surface of this. So there's 12 episodes. There's 12 episodes in one season. So we're coming close to the end of season 1. And I have a lot planned for season 2. So if I haven't said this already, thank you for just being with me for this, experimental season. Season 1's always an experiment. And season 2 will be an experiment as well. But a little less so of an experiment. But like always, I want to dedicate this episode to my brother. Those of you who do or do not know, my brother recently lost his legs and I am now his legal guardian. But his motivation for a better future has motivated me to press on. And he has demanded that I go for everything that I want and do it with integrity and fidelity and with no excuses. So there we go. I'm doing it for him. That's the end of the episode. Thank you for tuning in. Tune into the next one. If you haven't noticed by now, for season 1 at least, every other episode has a guest. So since I'm by myself today, I'll be talking to someone next week. So tune in next week to hear what they have to say with me. And that's it. I'll catch you on the next episode.
10-1-10, 10-2-20, 10-3-30, 10-4-40, 10-5-50, 10-6-60, 10-7-70, 10-8-80, 10-9-90, 10-10's 100, 10-11's 110, 10-12's 120. That's your 10 times. Say it with me. No cap. This thing is easy.